Good evening, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Football Tavern Talk. Our special episode today. We know March is International Women's Month. International Women's Day is on the 8th. And on the Tavern, we like to talk about the issues of the day. And one issue that is very close to my heart is just the progression of the women's game in sport, and where are we going as a culture and society. As you know, that football is for everyone. Everyone is inclusion, and that also goes with opinions and game attendance. And so, um, unfortunately, sometimes we're still got ways to go in regards to race and gender, and it's but we have organizations like Her Game Two that who are really doing a great job in educating people and also changing hearts, because you have a head change, but it's also a heart change in how we treat people. And so I have my sisters in the house. um, we'll start with Ellie, and then we'll go with Eve Ralph, who is um, it's an honor to have her from Her Game Too. But we'll start with Ellie. How you doing, Ellie?
Oh, really good, thank you. I'm buzzing after yesterday's victory as well. What a brilliant win!
Okay, good.
Fantastic. Got a
And
bit of a sore throat.
oh, oh, that's celebrating. I had to catch up with my voice today too. My
Yes.
co-host for tonight is Cursed. And you
Hey.
guys know her. She has her show. Um, um, ah, Forget the name of the show. uh, really
To be
why?
honest, we've only done one episode on it so far, so and that was quite a few weeks ago now. It's Lily White Talks,
Yeah.
but we're doing like I think so far it's like one a month. But we are hoping to get more like into it. Me and Tams have completely different kind of schedules of our life. Like I have a lot more availability than what she does. So it's just kind of trying to see when we can both be available at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Oh, hey kid. Don't worry. Mr. Zuma's not here. Oh, sorry. I couldn't help it. Kim, who's to the bottom of Curse. How are you doing?
All good, thank you, Murray. Looking forward to tonight's show. A bit tired, and I screamed myself hoarse yesterday with that goal. That goal was, Kane's performance. Absolutely buzzing from that, just like Ellie. So yeah, should be a good one tonight.
Good.
Yeah.
I should put a disclaimer to
Yep.
Eve that I did invite two people from two different fan bases. We just ended up with a couple of Spurs.
A likely story. He didn't at all.
So we're all kind of hoarse from yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
Probably won the game of the year. It was really good. Uh,
Brilliant.
and then of course we have Eve Ralph, who is a representative of Her Game Too. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. I'm not hoarse. I'm a Bristol City fan, but we still won. But I'm not hoarse, so every fan.
Good. And we will start with you. I know people watching Sky Sports today, and people all over Twitter, which is awesome, are seeing Her Game Too. For the people who are coming in and watching the show and who are going to watch later on, explain what is Her Game Too. Actually, let me pull up so they could kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. It's really huge. Uh, Leeds United, some of the players with the Her Game 2 shirt. Um, yeah, tell the folks, Eva, what is the campaign, the Her Game 2?
So we started the campaign. It was launched in May 2021, and it was started by 12 female football fans of like male teams, and we were all contacted by the founder Kaz May, and she said, "Look, we've put up with sexism in football for too long. Why do we just brush it off like it's a norm? We need to raise awareness for what goes on." So we started off with a campaign video and all held up a sign of something that we had said to us, either in person or online, to do with supporting a team. And then since that video was launched, with the support we've had has just snowballed so much, and we've almost been gifted this platform where we can now support as many females in the game as we can. So we now recognise that there's so many different opportunities for people within the world of football. So we're supporting fans, female players, coaches, people who work in media as much as we can. So that's through forming partnerships with professional clubs, semi-professional, grassroots, and also looking at other ways that we can work with people. So going on doing podcasts, being able to just talk football, talk about the wonderful things that come with supporting it as well. And we're looking at creating an education program so we can work with children in schools and then educate them nice and early. And then we've got merchandise out. So the proceeds from that can go and help and support grassroots teams as well. So it's a nice full circle. So there's lots of different opportunities, and I feel like we like a new door is opened every single week. It's so exciting because it's just moving at such a pace, and who knows where we'll be in a couple of months' time. So yeah, really exciting.
Wow, that is some same things. Chris, do you have a question for Eve in regards to the campaign?
Oh, do you know, I've had so many questions for everyone on the campaign. One of my biggest ones, though, that I've been dying to ask is, like, this time next year, would you see Hair Game 2 with, like, an international team? You know, just, like, one that's not in the UK, like, for instance, and they're like Real Madrid or PSG. Like, could you imagine being in partnership with those? I think that it would be absolutely incredible. Even what you've done so far, like, I know is it 2 Premier League partnerships that you've got so far?
Yeah.
Like, I think that even that's absolutely amazing. And I honestly believe that, like, by Christmas, I think majority of the Prem will be partnered with you. But yeah, like, could you see yourself with, like, partnered up with a team like PSG, for instance?
That would be amazing. I mean, I don't want to give anything away before it's officially launched, but we have had conversations with some clubs in the States, and I've also had conversations with someone who he works in countries in Africa as well. So we're having these conversations with people, and I think obviously you'll know a lot better than me, Mary, but I coached in Canada for a year, and I coached female teams and male teams. But from my perspective, I believe that it's more popular with females over in the States, so and Canada. So we'd absolutely love to work with these clubs. However, I think it'll be in a different capacity. So whether that is supporting them, giving them more opportunities, but whether the sexism that we experience in this country, it is probably quite different. So I believe it will be different throughout the world as well. Yeah. So we'd love to work with as many countries and teams as we can. But I mean, the overall goal is we hope one day that sexism will be completely eradicated, but we don't. We want to still keep working with people and supporting people, so that's when we can focus on the positives and try and get more girls and females into the sport. So maybe that will be the direction we take when we're working with these clubs over there. I hope you're right that by Christmas we have as many Prem teams as possible. But yeah, we're not just confined, and even like reaching out to Scottish clubs as well. Like we want to include them. We've got a couple over there. We've been contacted from different countries. So that's exciting as well.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And you mentioned Canada and the United States. It's really huge, especially national level. There's still struggle within the club level, it's improving. It's improving. It's weird because from my opinion, it seems like the club level in Europe, it's bigger than the States. But when it comes to the national team, it's huge. Almost to the point the women's game supports the men's game, and we have a huge controversy. I guess it goes to my next question. Uh, how is the women's game progressing? And I'm going to ask everybody: is there any changes needed by FIFA? We'll start with Ellie, and then we'll go to Kim.
Yeah, because I was associated. I don't know if you know this, but I was associated with Stell's, Coach Stell
Yes.
from
Yeah.
Tottenham away, and I was at grassroots football academy with him, and I was coaching an under-8 boys team, and he asked me specifically to get a girls team together, and I found it very, very hard. We only
Yeah.
got one girl there at the moment, so what we want to do is build on that. See, once you get one girl coming, then other girls will follow. So I haven't been for a little while because of my broken foot and a lot of I caught COVID as well. But ever since I've been at this grassroots football academy, I've seen there's a slow progression. We need more girls between, say, 6 and 8 to start getting interested in football as well, because they tend to come in a little bit later than boys. But if you
Yeah.
catch them a bit earlier, it makes them a little bit more ready when they're maturing, because you can get the basics in straight away. And young kids, they're like sponges; they take it in.
Oh,
So it'd be lovely to see the girls' game grow even more for even younger girls. Yeah, and I hope that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim.
okay. Well, full disclosure here. I've got to admit, I've not been very good with the sisterly solidarity. I've grown up watching the men's game primarily. I've never traditionally followed much of the girls' side of things. So I'm hoping to be educated tonight somewhat. But I am quite fascinated about this cultural divide we've got between, say, North America and Canada, where it's my understanding it is primarily seen as a bit of a ladies' game, soccer, quote unquote. And over here, it's very much like a boys' game, isn't it? And it's like the girls trying to penetrate the sport this side, but over on the other side of the Atlantic, it's almost the reverse. So it's quite a dichotomy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, it is, and I'll bring up something in regards to the struggle that's going on here in the States that might happen or might be currently happening in Europe right now. But I will go to Curse. How do you think the women's game is progressing right now?
To be honest, I think with campaigns like what Eve and the other girls have done, like Hair Game 2, for instance, I think having that, have the awareness that it's got, like, they've been founded for under a year and they've already got, is it like 20,000 on Twitter that you've got, Eve? Like 20,000 followers. Like,
Yeah,
to me, that is huge, especially in
Yeah.
such a short space of time, and to get as publicly, like, advertised as, yeah, especially recently with Leeds. I think just that awareness being out there, showing people that it is okay, and regardless if you're a man or if you're a young, old, whatever, like, it shows that progression is being made. Like, my little girl, she's 4, she plays for a football team and she's the only girl on the squad. And that doesn't stop her going at all. And
oh,
we
bless
go
her.
to we I know she absolutely loves it there. Like,
Yeah. Really good.
I'm taking her to a football match. We're going to the Hull City game against Barnsley on Tuesday. Hopefully it doesn't get cancelled. But yeah, she loves going, and I hope that me taking her helps reassure her, like, as she gets older, that, it is fine to go to football. It is fine to play it, like, regardless of your gender. And hopefully her having that positive outlook to know, actually, yeah, it is okay for me to do this, will encourage other girls, like perhaps at high school, or anyone, like any of my friends who have got daughters, for instance. Hopefully, like, us two being involved in all of this, and especially being such big supporters of the campaign, will encourage others to get involved as well. So I think just if
Yeah.
people keep doing things like that, then hopefully it will progress into something much, much bigger.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
Um,
good.
even so, you've been with the grassroots, and of course, you're with Her Game 2 campaign. How do you think, as a whole, the progression of the women's game is going? Do you think FIFA is doing enough, UEFA, in regards to promoting the game?
So I think it's come on an incredibly long way, even like in looking back over the last few years, and
Yeah.
the opportunities that are out there for young girls now. Like you've got the Wildcats programs to try and get more girls in there. Like they're wonderful, and the more we can normalise it, and I completely agree with you, Ellie, that we need. I think the younger we can get them, like
Yeah.
if you're working with girls who are maybe 7, 8, they're they can be 5 years behind when a young boy might typically start. So that is when we're going to see a bigger divide, even at the professional level. So working with young children and developing their footwear is so important. I think people don't realise, but it really is just getting the fundamentals. So the more opportunities we have there, it will have a direct impact on the level of the professional game as well. But I even think that there's so much that that needs to be done, but again it has progressed a lot. So we've got like the women's show on BBC One where you can watch the WSL highlights. Like that's wonderful. Like that wasn't around before. So even little things like that, the more we can get it on the telly, when they've got games, it unfortunately it is generally when the men aren't playing, so I'm not sure that message is great. That yeah, okay, we can put the women's games on when there's nothing else to watch. So
Yeah.
maybe if we can try and get more female games on and have that as a norm as well, because I think people they do want to watch it. The reason that they're not watching it is because it's not there to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
and
ties into what I was saying, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was like a lack of availability almost. I mean, I'm a fair bit older than you two. And when I was growing up, there was literally nothing on TV at all. I'm absolutely delighted that the
No.
BBC show is brilliant. And I remember watching the FA Cup final last year between Spurs ladies and Arsenal ladies, and we were a bit rubbish. And it was, yeah, so there is definitely more available now. So we are living in privileged, or better, shall I say, better times.
Yeah.
There's
Eve,
still a
I
lot.
actually have a
true.
quick follow on. You mentioned the Wildcats. Is that who you've coached with?
I have, yeah, not now, but I did a couple of years ago. But
My friend, she coaches with the Wildcats. She asked me to join them next month to start. I think it's like the 3rd of March. So I'll be joining the Wildcats, like helping coach the kids and things. So I've got no idea what to
amazing.
expect. But as soon as you said it, I thought, someone else knows about them.
Yeah. But if you need like any support or anything, just sign up, just drop me a message and I'll
I will
tell
do.
you all you
Thank
need
you.
to know. Yeah, it's good. It's a good initiative.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
as touch a point, the access to watching the women's game. This is from the actual FIFA website, that in 2019, before COVID, was watched more than 1 billion people, and
Wow.
the attendance was record. It was in France. The attendance was amazing for the Women's World Cup, and
Yeah.
so I know once that ended, it was kind of how to get more coverage of, like in the States we have the Women's Soccer League, to get on CBS and some other sort of channels, and so it's really, you know having that access to watch the game. For me, I was lucky enough to see, the Ambi Wambachs, the Akers, the Mia Hamm. Young girls need to see the Martas. They need to see, you know, the tongue tied right now, the Kelly Smith. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I pulled up a little monologue of just the players who, you know, even young boys, when they're watching the female players play, they're just like, wow, they're really, really good. Um,
Yeah.
Julie Foudy, legend, Christine Lilly, these are players I grew up on. Cristiani from Brazil. You in England, I'll go back. This is going real fast. Uh, uh, she's Michelle Akers, legend. Kelly Smith, who's also English a legend. Uh, Richard Prince. I remember, you could tell how for a guy, when we have favorite players and we have players we don't like, we rooted against the Germans and Bridget Prince, because they were good, and it was like Americans and Germans, but it tells that the game has arrived when you could have rivals, and so on.
Yeah.
Marta, legend. I mean, you watch her play, Marta, and it's like she does the same tricks that Ronaldinho. You look at that, it's just like wow. You just, of course, Mia Hamm, and I'll leave off with Alex Morgan,
Yeah.
who is my favorite. Doesn't play for Orlando anymore, and Julie Phelan played for Scotland, and so these players need more. This should be more access. We shouldn't be able to go to find a obscure stream to see some of the players. Do you guys agree in regards to TV coverage?
I totally do. If I can just interject here, I think a real positive side effect of it is like normalizing female heroes and role models, especially for boys. A bit like how I grew up and I loved David Ginola or Rafa van der Vaart. This is the same thing in reverse. And I think it might go a long way to combat some of this awful stereotyping we get. I've suffered the kind of what do you know about football, or explain to me the offside rule, or get back in the kitchen, or all the sort of stuff that we've all heard a million and one times. Tired, played out comments. And I think if boys grow up finding these amazing women doing these amazing things on a pitch and can almost hero worship them a little bit, things have got to get better, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, I want to know, how did you guys first? Who was influential to you in getting to fall in love with football, and what was your first game experience? Was it with your dad, or maybe mom, or grandparent? We'll start with Eve. How did you get to fall in love with football?
So I was born near Birmingham, but my family are from Bristol. So I think when they moved up, it's about an hour and a half away. My dad said, right, yeah, we can move, but I'm still going to be a season ticket at Bristol City. So then we used to go down to Bristol every week, and I go visit friends with my mum, like when I was a baby. And then I think when I was about 6 years old, I got taken along to the games and just fell in love with it. And it was just the norm. I was always the odd one out at school because I was the Bristol City fan, and it wasn't because I was the female fan. So then I was always, I wore that trophy with pride. I absolutely loved like being the odd one out. And then I think it was only when I was about 16, 17 years old when I started to get like the sexism, which so up until then it had always just been a huge passion. And then going away, absolutely loved it. So my dad, he passed away when I was about 12 years old. And I think after that, I went to the football with my brother, and it was just such a special connection because it was my dad who got us both into it. So even now, it's me and my brother who go to the majority of the games, and we've got some really, really special memories with him. And that's that is my connection to him. So I think that's why it's so important to me. But it shaped my life. Like I work for a football club now, and I've got him to thank for that, because if he hadn't taken me along to my first game when I was 6, I wouldn't be doing what I do now.
Yeah. Will puts up a good point. Not sure TV is the answer. Women's football isn't easy accessible here in the States in regards to TV coverage, but the participation is high, which is because the participation, but you still want to for those who can't participate, because it's real tough in the states. Wait, and I want to hear the rest of the experiences, but um, it's a pay-to-pay system. To play football in the states for boys is even hard. You kind of have to have money, whereas in where I've traveled outside of the United States, um, it's a little bit easier. Where a scout can say, "Hey, wow, you're pretty good," boy or girl, and say, "Hey, come play for our club." It's really different in the states in regards to though the participation's high, but there's a belief some of our best players are not playing because of just poverty and economic, situations and stuff. So, uh,
Yeah.
but Ellie, how did
Yeah.
you fall in love with football? And you could give
Oh
your
my God.
glorious football past.
I'll try and keep it as brief as possible because I've had quite an illustrious career in football. I mean, my dad was a big Spurs supporter for starters, and I was born in Tottenham. So I went to Drayton School, got picked for the boys' team, played football all my life really, played for Spurs ladies, and I absolutely loved it. And all the training I loved. I enjoyed playing football. We did get a lot of abuse, I must admit, even from rival fans just calling us all sorts, but I won't mention on here too graphic, but it was quite hard. But we got through it because if you've got a tough skin, and I had 7 brothers as well who were all supporting me, and my dad, he was so proud of me playing for Spurs ladies as well. So my football career's been quite illustrious and I enjoyed every single minute. And now when I go to watch Spurs ladies, the game's so much faster, more progressive, and the women are so skillful. I'm so proud of them, the way the game's progressed. And all we need now is more coverage, even more coverage than there is now to get it highlighted that women can play football and we are part of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Curse, how did you get into the game of football?
So before I start on my bit, I just want to say I'm really sorry for your loss, Eve. It's really nice to hear that you do still have that connection, obviously, to your dad through the love of your club. But how I started off was I'm a twin, and my brother, he always played football growing up. When we was really young, like I think something like 6 years old, 6 or 7, he obviously played for like a small grassroots team, and I used to go to every single training session, game, you name it. Me and my dad used to go. At first, I started off going just for just something to do to get out of the house, but then I really started enjoying it, and you would always hear me on the sidelines like shouting for him, or if someone was like putting like a nasty tackle on him, it was always me that was like ref, ref. Like I was there, I was like his little cheerleader. And yet we started going to Hull City games with my dad, and it was just really nice. Like we just had that kind of, I don't know, like that was my connection to the club because like the love of sports, sorry, because it was something that we all did together and we could kind of bond through. But then sadly, like obviously as I got older, I kind of like just drifted apart from football because I got to, like, as soon as I started secondary school, like a lot of people made comments, and I didn't want to be associated with that kind of like the negativity that people was throwing at me. I was really, really timid in school, and I always tried to keep my head down and things like that. So unfortunately that kind of stopped me doing what I loved. But then as I left school, I thought like, no, like fuck this, why am I letting these people dictate what I do? Like I don't bother with them anymore or anything like that. So then I met my partner Ben, and he was like this huge Spurs fan, and I really missed having like some kind of connection and love to sport, because obviously it was something that I had for so many years growing up. So I started watching games with him, and yeah, that's just where like my love for Spurs comes from. And now I just have like this, I don't know if it's like a good relationship with the club, because they do put you through some heartbreak, don't they? But
They really
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how I got into sport. And Now, being able to, like, because we are like a typical Spurs household, now both our daughters are obviously being brought up around the sport, and if they decide actually I don't want to be a Spurs fan, I don't want to support any form of football, like that's fine, like we wouldn't force it on them. But in the meantime, because they genuinely don't mind it, like we'll pop them in like a little Spurs kit and things like that. But yeah, Faith seems to be really enjoying it. As I said earlier, she has like her own little football club that she goes to on a Monday night. So yeah, that's just really nice. And then to be able to take her to all City games, it's kind of giving that kind of like nostalgic feeling, like of what I had when I used to go when I was little with my dad and my brother. So yeah, that's just my little connection to football.
Lovely.
Kim.
Yeah, well, it's quite simple story for me. I mean, it's largely Dad's fault. I grew up in Edmonton, which is just around the corner from Tottenham, and I had a kind of ambient love of it because of it was in the period of Via and Ardiles. But then I kind of really knew I loved football when I saw Gaza play. I went to a game and saw him play in the flesh, and he just did things that just with the football that I hadn't seen another player do at that point. So he was phenomenal, and I fell in love with it. It was fantastic. So yeah, that's why you can blame Gaza, Dad and Gaza.
Well, no,
Great player as well.
yeah.
Mm.
No, it's really awesome hearing your experiences of how you guys got into the sport. Um, for me, just thinking about my sister, it'll be a big event in my house, especially when World Cup will come and everybody will sit together. And my mom would even know the players, and so it was promoted that the whole household will watch football, and so it was ingrained since youth. Um,
It's
to love
wonderful.
football. I know the next topic I'm going to talk about in regards to women in football is attending the games. I didn't think about it until maybe a couple of years ago because I've seen some documentary. There was one really good by BBC about when blacks used to go into some of the games. They were afraid to go to the game, so some people root for Tottenham, Arsenal, United from home because the very few that got to the games, they heard the abuse at games and didn't think women didn't go either. I guess my friend told me, who's a mate of mine who lived in Manchester, it would just be men in trench coats going to the games, and if they bring their daughter, that was a huge risk. Before I go to you guys with our next question, which is let me pull it up right here. What is the women's experience in attending games in the past and current? Um, Let me show you one that really was just absolutely disgusting, absolutely uncalled for. And it's the reason why we need a Her Game 2 out there to just be an advocate for women. But this is happened in November. The West Ham fan that abused this innocent lady. And on the other side of the stadium, innocent or not, they were all yelling that she had chlamydia, which was
Wonderful.
absolutely disgusting. It was a bunch of West Ham fans, and it could be any fan base, but it was absolutely disgraceful. And I mean, she took it good in light. She didn't really know like it was directed towards her until finally, I guess, someone told her. But it was just absolutely disgusting, and I just feel that that's the one we know, but we don't know the many other game experiences. And does anyone want to start in regards to the women's experience at the games? In the past and currently, is it getting better? Are the clubs? Are we to challenge the clubs more in regards to safety and the abuse?
Yeah,
It
I
all
think
depends.
yeah.
Like when I don't know about everybody else, but when I used to go to matches with my brothers, I felt safe. But just recently, I went to the Spurs Brighton game with 3 of my daughters, and the we were just harassed by a couple of fans just bothering us and hugging us, trying to kiss us. And we just didn't need that. And my daughter Joanna, who's really, really, she hates that sort of thing, especially. She's going, leave my mum alone, leave us alone. And they just wouldn't leave us alone. And it was quite embarrassing. But this one guy behind us, he said, leave the women alone. And then he just sort of backed off and went to the other side of the section, thank God. But it was quite nasty, I must admit.
Awful. That you're here to watch a game. Like, it's, yeah. I am so
We
sorry.
just want to watch the game. We don't want to be harassed. You know, I'm with my daughters as well, and it's embarrassing. Yeah, you just want to enjoy the game.
I
That's,
think
that's
like the majority of experiences that I've had have been positive, but unfortunately, it only takes one like that, doesn't it, Ellie? And it just
Yeah.
like it tars it all. And um, since launching Her Game 2, we've got a report form on our website of that people can, if they've had anything that's gone wrong on whether it's at home or away, they send it to us, and then we'll pass it on to the club if they want to see if they can sort it out. And some of the stories that we've got, they're sickening, and I think people that they don't realise that it goes on, but hopefully, I don't know. I think that there's some people don't realise that it's sexism. When you're just saying like, "Oh, you only come here because you fancy the players." I think that's like there's a thrown away comment, but that's not actually acceptable. I think people don't realise. So the more that we can discuss these experiences and try and support people if they need to, put something in place for people as well, because it's such a shame that you felt concerned going with your daughters. It shouldn't be like that at all. So I know clubs they are really keen to make it as inclusive as possible, and whether that's more presence of female stewards or whether there is a safe space for people to go to, there's lots that clubs can do that's easy to try and stop things like that happen. So I'm sorry to hear that happened, but then I'm also not surprised at all because we do hear about these experiences.
Yeah. I'll tell you what happens sometimes. Like if I'm on my own, because I'm very knowledgeable about the game and the offside rule and everything like that. But I'm also knowledgeable about players and history of football. And once you start talking to the guys and they realise that you know your stuff, they give you respect, which is nice because they don't see you as a woman. Then they see you just as a football fan who knows about her stuff, and they give you respect in that regard. And I find on the streams, especially, you do get a lot of respect when you know your stuff, and it's really endearing to be on these streams and get that acknowledgement that a woman can know about football as well. It's really nice. I don't know about you girls, but I find that it's really great, and it warms your heart, really.
Yeah.
I think it is wonderful when you get that support, but on the other hand, I don't like when like females feel that they have to prove why they are a fan, and I think you should be respected anyway. And as you say, if you throw out stat, or if someone goes, "Oh, do you know who that is playing for like the other team's number 18?" If you turn around and be like, "Oh, and then it's like, whoa. Like what you actually know." So I think again, people don't realise, like they think they're being complimentary, but then like it has a negative effect on it at the same time. So it is nice when you are seen as a fan and not as a female, as you say.
They just accept you because you know about your stuff and you can talk a good game, and if you're bantering with them as well, you're just on the same level. You're not better than them and you're not lower than them. You're just a football fan and they accept you as a football fan. They don't see your sex. See? So I do agree with you, E.
Yeah. I've had to experience that, but in a weird, not a weird way, but a different way. Being the American, um, when they
Yeah.
tries to know what I know, because the stigma is Americans don't care about soccer, so they don't know about soccer. Like I said, I'm saying soccer, football. Then you get mocked, and so I know a couple of Americans who are on streams or Twitter. They feel that they have to prove themselves to knowing about football. And then I'm telling a friend of mine that I grew up in a Caribbean American family where football is religion in the
Yeah.
Caribbean. And so it's kind of like, of course, I know about football. It was in my home promoted. It was talked about. It was number one. And so, it's kind of that what you said, Eve, in regards to you shouldn't be in a position you have to prove yourself in regards to loving football
True.
by saying, okay, well, I know as many stats or many players as you are. So yeah. Kim, Curse, any experiences at the stadium?
I'm quite. I consider myself lucky that every time I've gone to a game, I've not received any sexist abuse while I've been at a match. I've received a lot online, but I think that's because people feel like they've got some kind of protection with
Yeah,
whatever it is that they can say while they're behind a
Yeah, they're
screen.
hiding behind the computer.
Yeah,
That's why.
but at the same time, I also think that because when I go to games, like obviously I take Faith with me, so we sit in like the parent stand and like the family stand, so it's a much
Yeah.
more respected area. Whereas I feel like if I was probably in like your main home stand, I might receive it because it sounds awful, but you just you kind of expect it when you've had it, especially online and things. So you don't know who you're going to come across while you're actually at a game. I was told earlier in the week that women wasn't actually allowed to stadiums, and this really amazed me until like the 70s, and I'd mentioned it before we came on. And to me, that probably explains why a lot of people, even in this generation, like even in this day and age now, kind of have the mindset that women, their opinion doesn't matter as much as men's. So I think that if I was to actually go to a game, knowing what I do now, I would probably be a bit more self-conscious or like a bit more paranoid if I was around, say, like an older fan, because I wouldn't know how they would kind of like look at me being there, if that makes sense. Because I don't know if they was kind of obviously around when that was a rule. Does that make sense? Like, since finding that out, it's kind of made me think like I'm a bit more aware of like who's going to be around me now, like when I'm at games and stuff.
Yeah. I was sitting next to an older man at the Wolves game, right? And
Oh,
he was
loads of
telling
them are
me so
absolutely
many
lovely.
great stories
Yeah.
about Spurs. And I was telling him about when I started supporting Spurs. And we got into a big chat. We hardly watched the first half. Anyway, we were 2-0 down, so we were just chatting. It was brilliant because he really did love that women are at the ground, because he was looking around and he was commenting on it. He said, I've never seen so many women.
Oh, good.
It's lovely from
Yeah.
an older generation guy.
Yeah. See, that's the positive side to 1 second, is that right? Is that a bit better? I think my mic's echoing. Yeah, I think that that's a positive kind of way to look at things. Like, obviously you get some that was there when there was a time when there was no women about, who will now be introduced, like seeing females like more and more coming to the stadiums, which will enjoy it. But then at the same time, you don't know if there's going to be some that probably don't like change and have kind of more of an old-fashioned mindset. So I think just if I was to go to a game and I didn't have my daughter with me, I think I would just be so like aware of whoever was around me. But yeah, it's really good that you was able to have someone who really respected the fact that there obviously was women at the match, Ellie. That's really nice.
Yeah. I was just fascinated by him because he was showing me pictures on his phone with him and Jimmy Greaves and Alan Gilzine, Danny
I think he'd do you a real
Blanchflower.
favour if he blotted out the first half of that Wolves game. That'd be wicked.
Yeah,
Actually, today is Jimmy Greaves' birthday. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man.
The England national team did a tribute to him. Um, I assume Kim, you went to a lot of games with your dad. If
Yeah.
anybody bothered you, I guess your dad would have taken care of it.
Yeah, exactly. He's a real alpha male type. So, yeah, I had no problems there. To be honest, I've been very fortunate. My match day experience, and I've been to quite a lot of games, has always been pretty good, not non-scary, non-threatening. I think the crowd around are usually pretty decent people. But I've been more aware of like the ambient kind of sexism, like I don't know. Do you remember the furore over Sean Massey? The first female lineswoman, and like that caused such a stink,
yeah,
and then you had those idiots on TV naming no names who are saying some awful things about her, then they lost their position at Sky, and it's that side of things that I was more aware of. It's just people throwing around just nonsense, just stupid opinions. But
I
I've got
know.
to say that the match day experience actually has been pretty decent for me.
Eve,
I,
uh,
I remember in the AFCON there was a woman referee and they had her on national TV in England, which was
Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah,
And she
yeah.
was talking about her experience. It was really great to see a woman referee making it to a
Yeah,
major
Sweden.
final.
It's a seriously big competition. So I'll tell you the other one as well. It was oh god, when Match of the Day had the first few female pundits, or not pundits, because they're still quite. It's only really the what's she called now? The ex-Arsenal player. I can't
Alex
remember her
Scott.
name.
Alex Scott.
Alex. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but one of their commentators on there, and I just remember seeing comments online for people. What does she know about it? What's she talking about? All that sort of thing, and just that sort of horrible stuff that gets to me.
Yeah.
I was going to
So
go to Eve with this question, and I put it under fan abuse because there's more, abuse towards women, race, LGBT, just basically fans in general, and I probably can relate the hooliganism with with the abuse. Is there any more changes that need to be done in regards to fan abuse at the games that we could do, or there's nothing much the clubs can do?
So a really important one is being able to report the abuse when you either hear it or experience it. So having that in place, especially I know having spoken to female fans, they want that to be anonymous. So that there is a fear that it might come back to you. So that's important as well. And so most clubs have a number, or at least like an email address that you can report it to. So that's really important. But I also think that clubs should be like promoting this, because I think that like people don't necessarily realise that sexist abuse isn't okay. So like absolutely people are reporting the racism and homophobia that goes on, but the fact that they can also report any sexism under that same umbrella, that we need to keep shouting about that. I think also having like male allies as well. So if you hear someone saying something, just having the confidence being able to tell your mate or family member, whatever, like, oh, that's not acceptable, you shouldn't be saying that. I think that's really important. And also, I know a few clubs have actually banned some fans, sorry, for some sexist abuse that's gone on. And then these fans, they are encouraged to do like an hour educational talk like what you would do with like racist abuse. So I think that's important as well, because it is about educating. And as we've said, like it used to be the norm. Females used to be banned from going. Some people, it's in their head that they shouldn't be there. So like we can't fix the world, but just being able to have that conversation, being able to sit down with someone who thinks that females aren't allowed to go and just have a chat about football. I think that there's a lot that can be done. So yeah, the reporting is a really important one, and then being able to educate the people as well. That's huge for us.
Yeah.
It is just ignorance, isn't it? That's what's behind it all. It's just ignorance, whether it's racist comments or sexist comments or homophobic comments. You know, you sit this person down in a room with someone of that particular group, and within no time they're going to find out they're just a fellow human being with very similar ideas on things and takes on things. And yeah, it's just they lack that experience of getting to know those people in that group. I think anyway.
Yeah, I
More
agree.
exposure.
Yeah,
No, dude. No, you're spot
definitely.
on with that. And so definitely, and I've said this: the clubs can do what they can do, and if they catch, the people, and this is where everybody has to, self-report. If you see someone say something, and so at least the club can, put a ban for a certain time for that fan not to attend the games and so on. So they know that okay, you're gonna make that comment.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some repercussions being
Yeah.
done because fan safety, fan experience at the stadium. On
I
the
think as well the security guards, like the stewards, even like when I don't work there now, but when I have previously worked in a store and we've had like temporary security guards in who have been stewards, for instance, at football games and so on. Like, not all of them are on board with women supporting football, so they would probably either laugh or join in, for instance, if they was to hear a comment being made at the game. So I think making sure that like someone who's there to obviously protect people and keep an eye out, I think it's important to make sure that they're actually fully aware of what's right and what's wrong, because I think some of them kind of would have an immature mindset. I'm not saying all of them do, but I personally have met one last year, in fact, who really just didn't like the idea of a woman having any kind of interest in football whatsoever. He was I won't say really like what his age group was or anything like that, but I just found him really intimidating, and I wasn't even at a game. I just heard it from someone else who was on shift with him at the time. And yeah, I think that it's just important that we have the right people working at the stadiums as well. And so perhaps the club could maybe ask people what they would do if something was to happen, and just kind of go from there. That's if they don't already do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to the next avenue where they have abuse towards women. And I'll start with the media since we brought up Alex Scott. And what are the struggles for women in football media and YouTube podcast world? Definitely, we have the problem here in the States with basically all sports. Anything that a woman might be interested in regards to sport, they're like, well, she never played the game or the men's game, so why would she have an opinion? Alex Scott is praised for uh, stand-up coverage during the Euros.
She's a fantastic pundit.
Yeah,
Simple.
spot on. She is with her commentary. We have Rebecca Lowe here in the States for the NBC coverage of the Premier League. Very very good analyst. And then there's I forgot her name. The MLS had their first MLS broadcast team. Shame on me, I should know her name because she actually helped out ESPN with the Euros. coverage, and um, and so when you hear their testimony, when you hear about um, their path to football media, it's not easy, and they feel even to sometimes, you know, the guy may say the same thing, and people may not question it, but when they say it,
Yeah.
and it's
Mm.
questioned. And mind you, you know, like Alex Scott has played the game, but their disclaimer is, but you didn't play the men's game. So,
Mm.
it's a definite struggle. And it's good that,
It's the same game. That's the thing. It's the same game, Mari, isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
They're both playing football.
Yeah. Well, so there's some of the best commentators haven't played football. Take
Exactly.
Clive Tilsley. No one bats an eyelid about him, and he's wonderful, isn't he? So I think it's a very lazy argument.
Of course
Um,
they will.
and one of the main struggles is like you the iconic video of Cammy when he didn't realise that one of the players had been sent off, and it was funny, and it is funny. It's a hilarious video, but you just know if that was a female, then
oh,
everyone would have
God,
just come
yeah.
for her and said,
Yep.
he's been roasted.
Yeah,
we're like,
they
well,
would
what's she
have.
doing? She can't do a job. So it's unfortunate that like if and you see when people get the names wrong or get we all make mistakes. It's a
Yeah, of
tricky
course.
job.
It's
Of
natural.
course.
And yeah, you should be able to have a laugh at it, like what the world did with Cammy. But unfortunately, we can't. So that's definitely. I think that's probably the main struggle, and that probably puts
Yeah.
people off as well. Because there's so
Yeah.
much pressure that you have to get it spot on.
There was that great irony, wasn't it? I mentioned Sian Massey earlier on. So I don't know if you know who she is, Murray, but she's a female linesman or lineswoman, linesperson. I don't know what the correct terminology is. I'll just call her a linesman. And a couple of very well-known pundits were like slating her decision, but it was an offside decision that she'd called, and they were slating her and saying she, making some comments about women not understanding the rule, blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
actually, they were the ones that got it wrong. They were wrong, and so it was hilarious, really. But they got kind of demoted and sort of shuffled off to the side. Yeah, it's quite insidious inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you, someone who I have seen. Basically, I'm sure majority of us are familiar with Abby Summers. She's the Spurs fan.
Yeah,
She does a lot of
yeah.
work
Yeah.
with Arsenal, like Arsenal fans, and through her work, she does go to their ground and she spends a lot of time, obviously, with a lot of their supporters and things. And she gets absolutely hounded for it by Spurs fans, saying that she's a fake fan, all the rest. And it's literally just her job. She's just building her career, and
Yeah.
we even see it like on her platforms, and I don't think she deserves it.
No,
Like she knows.
No.
She knows Tottenham. She has always supported the club. Even now, like she'll banter and things with other people from different teams. So she is one of us. But for some reason, just because she's building her career to get, probably I don't know if she's trying to get kind of like where Alex Scott is, but she's obviously trying to progress with what she wants to do. And a lot of our fans are kind of hounding her for it. And I think that if that was a male, he wouldn't get half as much because there are Tottenham fans who are men that have Arsenal fan friends, and I never see comments
Yeah.
get said, but I always see it on her post. Like if she posts, she could post absolutely anything, and there'll always be someone commenting, going against like what she supports and things like that. And I think that obviously if that was a man, it wouldn't be the case at all. But I'm quite lucky that in the sense that when I wanted to get into podcasting on YouTube, the Spurs family, what we've got, they was very, very welcoming, and I've never had one who I've like hosted with or just been a panel on their show. They've never been disrespectful to me, or if ever I've got anything wrong, like if I've made a mistake or anything like that, like they've always just kind of helped me like with my point of view that I'm trying to get across. So I've been really lucky with what I've done on things like YouTube and things. But I do know that there are women out there who obviously won't be as fortunate. And I think it's just a shame because you just don't see it with with a lot of men.
I was
I think
discouraged.
there's a wider thing with internet comment section, isn't there?
Yeah,
You know, like
absolutely.
look at any comment section on YouTube, and it basically you scroll down a little bit, and it degenerates into a
Yeah,
homophobic slurs and just horribleness. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
um, I
Yeah,
was
true.
very discouraged and kind of hurt when I first came across the Twitter and YouTube streaming. There were more women streaming, and a couple of them, um, even on Sky Sports, Kelly, Moran, and Mel. Um, Kelly is a Newcastle supporter. Really stopped streaming. A couple of women stopped streaming because of just the abuse they've
yeah,
received on either on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's we must have a woman's perspective. We should have all types of perspectives, and I think it's a huge loss when someone has to shut down their channel because of that abuse. I know Eve, I contacted you through through your page. Do you get nasty comments, on Twitter, on your Twitter page, or have you been lucky that you haven't gotten it yet? Um, I would assume, and I know Curse because we follow you, and I know you've got some really nasty comments. Have you received that? Any pushback?
We haven't. 99% of the comments are positive, so I think we have got to take that. And with anything, I think when you're in the public eye, it is a success. So we are gonna have people who are trying to tear it down, and we do occasionally have nasty comments. And I don't think the people who give us them realize that they are helping fuel the campaign. It's especially when people say that there isn't a problem and then they'll go and be abusive on social media, and you're literally demonstrating what we're campaigning against. We had, it was a couple of months after we launched. Someone created an account called, I think it was his game too or something.
I remember seeing that and reporting it.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he said, well, I'm assuming it's a he. It could have been a female, but the person on this account just like mocked everything that we posted, and then Kate
They made a logo,
picked,
didn't they?
Yeah,
As well.
they
Yeah.
went to town. They made a video. They
Yeah.
made a logo. And that one was quite hard because, and then when people say, "Oh, what are you actually doing?" It's like, well, actually, we had a fans forum the other night, and we were able to be the connection between the fans and the club, and now they're doing this, and I think people don't realise it, as what you mentioned with Abby, because I think people they do assume that we're just doing it just for ourselves, but we're absolutely not. It's hours and hours of work that we do for free. Like, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't passionate about it. So when we get these nasty comments, like the girl, we all approach it differently. Like, I prefer, I might share it, but then I'll block out the name, because I don't necessarily agree with a witch hunt for someone. I'm not saying if you do, then that's wrong, because some people do think, okay, yeah, we're going to share it, and it is nice when you have so many supportive people saying, like, "I'll just forget them." And the majority of the time, the supportive comments are coming from the men as well. We have so many supporters that are. So I'm not tarnishing everyone with that same brush either. Like, we're just campaigning against sexist people. We do see it, and all we can do is just report it, try and block it, or share it so we can prove that it is still going on.
Anyone else want to give their experiences on? I don't, Kim, you're not on social media for that reason. But
just because I find it a bit, no offense to anyone who is a big user of social media, but I find it a bit of a toxic cesspool of humanity. So I don't really have much track with it.
Yeah.
I think that it doesn't matter what you post, you're fully entitled to your own view, but it's the impact that what someone else might say regarding to what you think and what you believe. Like, there was a comment from something that a female had said, and I shared it on because I obviously fully agreed with it because she was completely supporting sexist, like fighting sexism within football. So I reshared it, and obviously without naming names, Kim, you're aware of this, is what we discussed today. A man had come to my messages, and it was almost as if it was me that had the argument with somebody online, and I'd said something wrong, and it wasn't. I was just resharing, and I got told that apparently sexism doesn't. It's not really a thing. It's just women who are being overly sensitive because men speak to other men, that they speak to women the way that they speak to men, and women just want to cling on to anything they can to claim it as sexist. And that really took me by surprise because
That's such a
to me,
backwards take. That really
Yeah.
is.
yeah, like it just really blew my mind. And I just thought to myself, like, how is that even a thing? Like, because I've seen discussions between two men when they've disagreed with each other, and I've also seen discussions with, and I've had discussions myself with a man who has disagreed with me, and the comments that can sometimes come up, and there's just no comparison. Like, I think until someone, like, a man will not understand what it's like as a woman to support football because they're a man. Just like as a woman, you will not understand what it's like to be a man who supports football. And I understand that obviously we all support the same game, but it is different for a lot of people, especially if someone has the mindset that they don't like women supporting it, or if they think that women just do it for male attention. Like, those fans do still exist. So I think it's platforms like Twitter and Instagram kind of bring out the worst, but then they can also bring out the best in people when it comes to things like fighting sexism in football, especially when people have that kind of, like I said earlier, that you have that kind of protection that they can do it from an anonymous account, so that way someone will never know who they are. Like, this is why I think that we should bring ID, like identification, you know, when you're making an account. But I know a lot of people would probably disagree with that because of like data protection and things.
Privacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because and even as a guy, you know, when you're having a disagreement or a debate, and if someone feels that they're losing the debate, they'll then throw out, you know, they will throw out, you know, a sexist or racist comment to
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, if they're saying it to make their argument stronger because in reality is making it weaker.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
to
It's almost an admission of defeat, isn't it?
Yeah.
resort to being personal. You know, hey, disagree with me with, you know, my point, more the merrier. But now when you start getting personal,
Yeah.
you start talking about me and you disparage me, then this is where the problem comes. And civility is just, it's tough out there, you know. And you know, Eve is right. You know, 90% of the people would be awesome, but that few 10%, you know,
Yeah.
who you are, if you're
Yeah.
or not, it's you that one comment may ruin you. You know,
Yeah.
especially if you know, we're all day in day out, we're struggling or we're doing great to live our lives, but then you just never know that one comment will get you down.
Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
think a time that was really hard to be a female who supported football was during the Euros, because that kind of back, like, it was last summer, that kind of unleashed like so much toxicity. I can't even pronounce it, but there was such a toxic atmosphere on social media because obviously majority of the country was like huge England fans, even if they didn't even know football, even if they didn't know the rules of football, and they just wanted to watch the games because they just enjoyed the atmosphere. Like, that's okay, because that could hopefully have developed some women to actually get an interest and want to support the game. But I think it encouraged a lot of people to kind of flip it, and as if to be like, oh, there's so many fake fans, and that kind of encouraged this massive negative outlook on female fans in general. That's what I noticed anyways when the Euros was on last year. And I found it quite hard to be a female supporter of the game, because I didn't know, like, me personally, I didn't think that people would take my point of view seriously, and because I didn't know if they was kind of thinking, oh, she don't know what she's on about, or oh, she's only liking them because of what they look like, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like I was very fortunate because when the Euros was on, it was when I did my streaming quite frequently with a lot of the YouTubers in the Spurs community, and we all had like a really good friendship. So I thankfully, like when I was on my streams and things with them, I didn't get any comments at all like that. It was just if I was to write like a tweet, for instance, someone would like maybe come into my messages or they would comment. But I think that, yeah, there's definitely just so much more that needs to be done. But obviously, with campaigns like Hair Game 2, this is like a massive, massive step forward because I think that now that the word of the campaign is getting out there a lot more, people are taking it a lot more seriously now. So I think that say when the World Cup happens or whenever like the Euros happen again in a few years, I think that there won't be hopefully anyway, there won't be as much because there'll be a lot more awareness about it.
Yeah.
I agree with that
Well
about
said, Kirsty.
like with the Euros, when you have the rest of the country supporting the team, it's amazing. And if there are people there, men and women that have never watched a game before, it doesn't matter. You've got that collective that you are just supporting your country. Like I've been watching curling. I don't know what's going on. What if these diehard curling fans turn around and say, "Oh, do you know the rules?" No, I don't, but I'm just enjoying it because I'm first and foremost supporting my country. So, it is tricky when people do play that, or you're not a fan card. There's much more to it than that, and it is. You do get worried that you're going to get shot down, but it should be a welcoming place for absolutely everybody. You don't need to like play top trumps to try and prove why you are like the best fan or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
that's true. Yeah. So I was watching the curling this morning with my husband, and we won the gold medal. We were all cheering. It was amazing, and I don't understand the rules, but I could see them rubbing the surface so to slow the disc ran, to make it go slower or faster, and it was so exciting to watch it. You know, and I don't know the first thing about it, but I loved it. Yeah.
Is there I guess it's a two-part question. Is there because you're on YouTube, you're on Twitter, and there's complete banter and even trash talk. Is there a double standard for maybe women in regards to trash talking or banter with men on like social media, and then is there also uh, a limit? Is there a limit for some men or or a limit for some women? I guess because when I speak to some other men, because even with race, they're like, okay, we can banter, but they can instantly don't know what point where they stop, and so they may say something, and for them, and which is good if they are really sorry, like, wow, I didn't know I went too far. Okay, they're wrong, and they will apologize. And there are those, of course, they will just never admit they're wrong. They will continue on. So I guess what I'm saying is there a double standard in regards to what women could do? What me and my sister were so close. We banter each other all the time about everything, but we know each other. I know her limit. She know my limit. Um, but it's definitely not the same when you're with strangers on Twitter or the YouTube world.
Yeah. To be honest, I think it completely depends on the relationship that you have with the person. Like you said, your sister's limit, she knows yours. Personally, I've had banter with some of my really good friends when it comes to football, especially when we've been in the pub. But they know like whereabouts, like what would offend me, what wouldn't offend me. But then at the same time, I think that there's certain topics that personally shouldn't be bantered about, if that makes sense. Like, I probably, what I'm trying to get at is a lot of people would probably refer to it as work or the snowflake generation, but it isn't. It's just basic respect. Like say if I was, I don't know, like some guys probably still use the whole like, oh, go make me a sandwich or something like that. Like they would probably throw that out there to try and be funny. Like they probably would think that a woman would laugh at it.
Get
Or
back in the kitchen though.
yeah, but yes,
Yeah.
but it's but that is just basic sexism. Like there is a fine line, and I think that the only way to stop that ever being crossed is to just not do it. Yeah, I think as long as you know each other's like what you're comfortable with, then I guess that can be an exception. But at the same time, like if you don't want to be walking on eggshells, if you don't want to be thinking, oh shit, did I go too far? Like just don't do it, and then hopefully that might, I don't know. It just completely depends on, what does that say? Why do people need their opinion validated by total strangers online? It's one thing I'll never get. Yeah,
it kind of
unfortunately, unfortunately, with things like Twitter, I feel like I have to explain myself a lot, especially when it comes to like if I was to do like an opinion on a player, a lot of people, especially with Hobie, I think that I'm really biased, but I'm not. Like I completely hold my hands up when he's made mistakes, things like that, and but a lot of people would just ignore that. They would think that I was a fickle fan, or that's what I've been called in the past. So yeah, I think that you do kind of feel the need that you have to explain yourself, because then otherwise you kind of get in your head that people just don't understand your point of view or take you seriously, which brings you obviously back then to the whole like women aren't taken seriously in football kind of thing. It all just keeps going back to it, even when you think it won't, like that comment then, like why do people need their opinion validated? It just bounces straight back to it, especially for a woman.
Yeah, I agree. I always find myself, I can banter with the best of them, and I like what Rez has taught me a lot as well. He said it not just for women, for men as well. Like if you're getting bantered on Twitter and you're getting sexist remarks, just throw it back at them, because these people, they're hiding behind their machines, typing away. They don't really realise that they're hurting people. But if you throw it back at them, right? You're not bullying them. You're just getting back at them to make them feel that they are wrong for doing this, for making people feel in a certain way,
You see,
and being sexist or homophobic.
I understand where that point's coming from, but then at the same time, would that kind of put you on their level?
Yeah, what I'm saying, like Rez, he just throws it back at them.
I love Rez. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's fabulous, and you can grow strength from that, because you don't have to always do it. But I find where you're bantering with people and they're putting you down because you're a woman, or if you're gay or whatever.
Do you mean just kind of like give them what for?
They're trying to make them, what they're trying to do is make themselves feel bigger, the bigger person, but they're not. So I just find they're just idiots who hide behind a computer, and they think they can get at people like that. If you rise to it, then it's not good. You just have to throw it back at them, to make them feel bad about themselves, because they're the ones who are instigating the bad chat, the bad banter and getting at you. So they should realise that is wrong, so that you put them in their place as well. I don't know what the rest of you guys think of that, but that's how I feel. I feel like if you're strong and you stand your ground, I think it's better than just. I know sometimes it can get to you, but you just have to be strong and strong-hearted, and know that these people are not. They're not. Sometimes they're just bullies. Like you can meet 10 people and 2 of them would be bullies. And they have to be told that they're bullies, because some people don't even realise that they're being bullied. Yeah. They're bullying people.
They'd be mortified if it was brought to their attention.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of different ways that you can deal with it, and there's no right or wrong answer.
No, that's true.
Lots of people, they come from different backgrounds. I think what we're mindful of as an organisation, Her Game Too, when we get the abuse that you're alluding to on social media, it's not necessarily the impact it's had on us. I think we are relatively thick-skinned, but it's those that might be like younger, they might be 12 years old, and they're on social media and they see it. And if they haven't already got that passion for football, they're going to see it and think, oh, well, like it's not a place for me. So it might be the like indirect effect that it's got on other people. So I see where you're coming from, and we I think we can have banter with people, but the thing about banter is that everybody involved has to find it funny. When they don't, then that's when it becomes bullying and abuse. So we're not trying to suck all the fun out of football. It is like you laugh when someone runs and slips over like that. It's funny, you can do that, but we're trying to just like be able to define the fine line between abuse and banter and fun. So
True.
If you are comfortable bouncing it back with the people that are giving it, then okay, that's perfectly fine. And again, as long as you don't cross the line and then come down to their level, but then I think there are other ways to deal with it as well.
Very true, well said.
And I guess the last segment of the show, it really comes to just the abuse. It just comes back to value. Me as a school counselor, I tell my students, all of them, you're valued, even if someone is not value who you are as a person or your opinions. And so, I posed the question of women's opinion in sports, value and respect of men, and I posed that question: is it something that, you always come to a point where it's just like, okay, I want someone to value my opinion, I want someone to respect me, I want someone to love me, but then you can't force the other person to do that. It's just you have to hope, and so. Is this a question that an impossible question to answer, or is there something that we can answer it in hopes that we could decrease the horrible opinions that men have on women in general about stuff, politics, sports.
I think with this question, one thing that we all, like everyone on here, everyone viewing, need to remember as well is I know it is stereotypically a lot of the abuse does come from men, but it can also come from other women as well. And so a woman's opinion on sport, it is, but then it also isn't respected and valued by both men and women. Yeah. Like one thing that I've had like girls take the piss out of me, call me hooligan and all sorts, and so it's not just men that have made comments, and I think that like it completely depends on their upbringing, and all we can do, especially as women and men who are getting involved in this, is just keep trying to raise awareness, keep trying to share stories like of experiences, and then that way just hope to God that one day in the future we can cancel out as much sexist abuse as possible within football. I definitely think that it is respected by the right people. It is becoming more respected. Just hopefully a lot more people will get involved in being open to the idea of it as well.
I think I completely agree with all of that. The main idea behind Her Game Too is to try and just cancel out any stereotypes that people have. Therefore, by saying is the value, are we respected by men, that's stereotyping as well. So we're becoming as bad as the thing that we're trying to fight. And some of our biggest fans, biggest supporters are men, and like my brother, he's my biggest fan in football as well. So this isn't an issue with men, this is an issue with sexist people. So I completely understand the question, but I believe that women's opinions are valued by men who have got morals, which the majority do. But
Really?
unfortunately, there's a small snippet of sexist people, men and women, who it's not respected by. So that's what we're trying to do, and trying to eradicate that, and hopefully we'll be on a level playing field, hopefully in the not too distant future.
Yeah, yeah. No, excellent
Yeah.
response right there, and it all comes back to
Yeah.
education. You know, even when it comes to racism, I say one of the biggest things to really help and to eradicate that, it comes to education. It comes to
Yeah.
even getting to people into. I'm big on workshops where I've seen people say, "Hey, I didn't really know. Wow, we're really similar. Other than the the color of our pigment, we're really one and the same." And it all comes into
Mm.
education. I think it's a huge, huge push. Sometimes uh, and I've talked to other people about this. You may have a logo or slogan, but what are the legs? When I said the legs, what are the moving parts behind that logo? What are they doing in regards to educate, to inform and really go out there to combat racism, sexism, and so it's um, really really good work what you guys are doing from the grassroots level to the playing field to uh, speaking up if things are happening in the stadium, giving women opportunities in the game, to who are really passionate and is just as qualified as men to be able to have the opportunity. I know in the states we have this battle where our women's team generate more money than the men, but the men get paid more, and so there's been
Mm.
a fight for just you know the women need to get what they deserve, what is deserved to them. They're bringing in, they've been the more successful side. The men say, well, we playing the harder. It's just kind of like, okay, if you go by that premise, but still the money being generated is by the women. And so, you know, men or women or not, it's, what's fair is fair. And so there's an unfair
Yeah.
process that's going on in the states, and it's been a battle for the last couple of years. And so it's it, it's something that's really really important that we have to continue to fight and advocate for. And so, um,
Yeah. And that's not just in sport, Mari, that's across the board in normal workplaces where women are getting paid 15% less still. So that's an uphill battle, but we'll get there in the end. We will we will get equal pay. It'll just take time. It's education at the end of the day.
yeah, and I've seen the interviews that Kaz have done, and it's just encouragement to you guys to just continue to speak up and continue to educate and advocate for women in sport, because it only makes it better. And I not married, don't have kids yet, but my dream is to have my daughters, future daughters, to, well, hopefully they choose football, but whatever sport they want to play, they have equal opportunity to to perform and to perform in peace without hostility, because of who they are. So yeah,
Agreed.
Love that.
Yeah.
One
Amen
thing
to
I
that,
do
Mary.
want to as well say before we close off is just a massive thank you to Mary and for Eve for coming on, and for Mary for setting this up, because this stream, I
Yeah.
obviously, with the questions that have been said, hopefully the viewers and anyone who does watch it back, hopefully awareness does obviously gets raised, and hopefully if people didn't think that it was as serious as it is, they might kind of have that outlook now. They might realize, if that makes sense. So yeah, just a massive thank you to both of you two as well, and obviously for Kim and Ellie for sharing your experiences and your stories. I know that a topic like sexism isn't easy for a woman
No.
to talk about, But I think that just making the step of actually being on a platform and getting your voices out there, hopefully will help encourage others to do the same, and to also, like Eve was saying, they have a reporting section on their website. Hopefully it'll encourage, now that a lot of the viewers will know that, hopefully it'll encourage them to, like, if they have any nieces or sisters, daughters, wives, girlfriends, whoever, if they have experienced anything like that, they can go onto the website and they can report it as well.
Yeah, I
And
reiterate that. Fantastic, Kirst.
it's
Well said.
comments like this, is the reason why I just wanted to bring awareness to it. I know not everybody, but there's some. Hey, we're not going to tackle this issue, even if it's related to the sport. For me, you know, sexism I mean, it's wrong, and I have you know, adoptive nieces because I only have nephews, but I have been surrounded by strong, amazing women, and for them to struggle just in life in general, not even sport, with the topic of sexism, and then go through it, it's horrible. And so, um, when we as men also help lead in the fight, um, and we have more who will have this platform, it also helps, in regards to reducing it. And so, I see this. Carl, he says, this is a great stream as a father of a 9-year-old daughter. And you have a lot of fathers here, which is good.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
as a father of a 9-year-old daughter, getting more interested in the whole social media and Spurs. Is lovely to hear your opinions, uh, as I see it, and I do not worry for her growing up. And so that's for me. That's mission accomplished, because for me
yeah,
it goes back to you know.
of course.
Bless you. Yeah, I was like, how did she get herself on mute that quick?
I know, that's quite skillful.
And Mari, isn't it great that we've got loads of women commentating on sport now? And it'd be lovely to see, even like Jeff Stelling, to have a woman on the panel as well, with the women footballers as well, because they normally have them at the grounds watching the matches. But it's
that's
lovely
right.
to have a couple of women also, like Match of the Day, when they invite Alex Scott on, and a few other women have been on as well. So that would be nice to see as well.
Well, Eve, we just want to thank you for just
Yeah.
just coming
Definitely.
on and really telling us more about her game too. We have a lot of
Yes.
people who watch the stream later on. Tell us how. Number one, how do I get that wonderful jersey, the hoodie, her game too? So if others want to get it, because I'm very big on people. Hey, what you wearing? Oh, tell me more about it. The masses will know. So I definitely want to have it here in the States so people could say, okay, what's her game too? But where can people find you? Your website, is it hergame2.com? And um, where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. So you can find us. Our social media handles are on Twitter. It's at hergame2, same as on Instagram. And then we're on Facebook as well, hergame2. And if you would like to take a look at our merchandise and have a look at the website, our story, and all of that, then our website is hergame2.co.uk.
Okay.
Nice
Yeah.
and simple.
Okay. And we have a lot of people in the UK. We have those in Australia. Just go .uk. And those, of course, in the States. And just any last words for our people who are watching, in regards to her game too.
I don't think, I think it's all been covered tonight, but hopefully you'll see us cropping up in more and more teams as we announce these partnerships, and hopefully supporting as many people as
Hopefully
we
Spurs.
can.
Hopefully
Um,
Spurs.
Yeah, hopefully Spurs.
Daniel Levy, are you listening? Are you watching?
Yeah, Daniel.
Please.
There's a lady called Kay who used to be Tottenham Hotspur's coach and manager. Um, Contact her at Spurs. She's really good. She works in the ticket office now. She'll help you a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
Kay Lovelock, her name is.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah,
No problem.
I'll try to get in touch.
Yeah. Anything else from the panel?
Yeah, so before we head off, obviously this is a topic that has touched on the YouTubing thing for a woman. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who I've done a stream with in the past year. Obviously, it goes without saying, everyone knows who they are. And yeah, it's just a massive, massive thank you to all of those. There was all males. They all had me on. They let me have my say. They was all very supportive, and as
Yeah.
well, I remember Ellie, me, you, and Judy had a female run panel, didn't we, for a short while with Tottenham
Yeah.
away?
We had
That
really
was
white ladies of the lane, didn't we?
yeah, that was good. Yeah, it's just really nice to be able to have such a good support like in our little community, and I just hope that if other Premier League supporters like team supporters, if any of those by some miracle get around to watching this stream, hopefully they are just as welcoming to their female fans on their channels as well as what I was with me and with Ellie and with Jodie and Kim and
Yeah.
everyone else. So yeah, just a massive thank you to all of the Tottenham streamers that are out there as well. And
Yeah,
even
can
just
I,
everyone comments and things. Oh yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, can I echo those sentiments? Because I've had nothing but love from like the
Yeah.
Spurs YouTube fam, and I think it's such a good group of people, and it's such a welcoming. We used to call it the fam, didn't we? The Spurs family.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
lovely
yeah.
one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. Like
Yeah.
you've got the Irish Hotspur, Spurs related. You've got Tottenham away. They're all fabulous
Spurs
stations.
Invasion,
You've got
thanks to Rose.
United Spurs of America. You've got the Love Lounge.
That's it.
It's
Yes, it,
one
the
big
Love Lounge,
happy
they're big.
family.
Yeah.
We all support each other.
Sheltered.
Southside Spurs.
My
There's
glass.
so
And then
many.
you've
It's
got
like
Tottenham
Will in the
Tantrum
comments,
Gold.
Cody. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cody, Will
All
Stewart.
brilliant streams.
Yeah.
And they've all been supportive of us women. I must admit. We've had much love from all the men in the streams,
Yeah.
and they give us lots of airtime, which is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I think we do a good job in wanting to hear a woman's perspective on the game and everybody's perspective. You know, diversity
Yeah.
in the game, and so that's what I love about the football community when we come together and we can share. I mean, agreements and disagreements. We can be able to, as one community, be a voice of unity. Um, well, that's it. And I
Yeah,
just want
thank
to
you,
thank you guys
Mari.
once again. Those who have commented. Sorry, I didn't get to your comment. There was so many, but yeah, I just want to thank you guys for just the support and once again to the panel. And you guys have a lovely Sunday evening.
I'll try and
Bye.
do
Thank
that
you,
as well.
Mari.
Thank you.
Peace out.